All right, so we got Kennedy Blades. Let's start with some wrestling. Kennedy Blades.
It's rather suiting her nicely. She's been in terrific form. Ripping through this round-robin competition. 36 seconds to win her first match against Kendra
Silver medalist
Thatcher of
2024
France.
Olympics.
Won that by a pin. Then got a second pin over Adela Hanslikova. Tricky opponent.
UWW, please don't hit me with that copyright
throw against
strike.
Jabados to win 10-0. This is her fourth contest.
They love
the
that
gold
copyright.
medal's already in the bag. Blades in the blue. Pock in the red.
Collar tie. Yeah,
What
nice movement.
does she have left?
Kennedy's tough, man.
For this contest, she's straight to work here.
On that front head. I think she would do really good at jiu-jitsu. She might have trained some too. Back in the center. So you guys know female wrestling is the fastest growing sport in America.
Down the weight class from where she
youth sports
medaled
nice.
at Paris 2024, but she's
back,
looking so
behind.
good at it. Her speed to the fore, her power still just as powerful, it seems, in all regards. Kennedy Blades, 2 points on the board.
So it's important we study wrestling because you guys do a lot of nogi. You gotta learn some wrestling. Yeah, 2 points. There we go. Back in the center. So the cool thing about freestyle, there's no submission. So
but you can see the
when things happen, they restart.
The way she moves on her feet from standing to downwards.
Or when nothing happens, they
down,
restart.
Going behind. Lightning quick.
She's really working these snap downs really well with the wrist and the head, the collar tie. See how she's feigning. Nice shot. Push out point, 1 point.
On that right side, on the left leg of.
So there's a lot of crossover
well, fakes in,
for
turns,
jiu-jitsu and wrestling, freestyle
in
particular. Greco as well. Lots of good feints. You see she's controlling the head. And she has such a reach advantage that helps her with her collar ties and her feints.
Reassess where her opponent's coming from.
Good movement. And so she can just change levels so fast. For being a tall girl, she changed levels, drives in, easy push out point right here. There we go, takedown. I don't know if it'll be scored as I wanted to.
Nice little leg pinch there. Right hand collar tie, left hand on the inside of that leg when she steps forward. It just really doesn't need to drop on her knees too much. Kind of just runs through her opponent, runs through.
And in wrestling, you know, you can.
It almost feels like
get outscored essentially. I think it's 10 or 12 points. You get outscored.
Big technique from Kennedy Blades
to stop the match.
She's 5 points up.
Good movement.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. She just does everything correctly. So everything that she does is clean. There's no really room for error. She's just going through the motions. Nice. Everything's getting her opponent stepping forward.
When she starts feinting like that, she's
keeping close enough on the shots. Nice. Good slide by attempt there.
Notice how she keeps changing her base. Nice.
Gets the leg this time.
Single.
Picks it up the trip two for the takedown.
So that's
7 points to
good
the good
for a
now.
lesson for us. You know, you're doing your takedowns. Be moving. Don't be static. Keep those feet moving. Keep those hands
on her
moving.
time, it feels like whenever she really wants to score, she can.
Back in the center, 7-0. Yeah, I think it's 10 points or 12 points. I don't really remember. So you see how she's moving her feet. Feet are moving. Hands are moving. Testing the head.
Second round.
Right there.
Which is not
nice little shot.
That many have done today.
Just stay active, you know. You want to stay aggressive, especially if you don't have a lot of time to work. And in freestyle, man, they call you for stalling quick. Nice, she gets in.
Hey! For the big throw, gets the 5.
She's so flexible. She hits that suplex like nothing.
In the first round.
12 points.
She continues to close things down early.
Nice, let's look at that again. That was amazing.
With another grand amplitude.
Let's look at that. She did that at the Olympics too, I believe.
Stopped.
Jack the girl up, she did that too.
If at all, in fact.
Let's slow that down. Look at all this technology I got. Uh-oh. Get out of there.
Neither Dacia nor Hanslikova managed to.
Nice.
She goes Blades for the big throw. Man. Gets the 5. And it will be stopped in the first round. He continues.
Great work, great work. Next, we're going to be looking at Sarah Galvao, daughter of Andre Galvao. Up-and-coming brown belt.
Diego, tail of the tape. In at 126.8
18 versus
pounds.
33.
Sarah
Who put this
Galvao,
matchup,
18
man?
years old,
Who put
5'3",
this
weighed
matchup?
in at
She got the
134
age
pounds.
and the weight advantage. Yo, who's number one? Be setting people up.
Martins begins the action, and here we go.
Sarah's the one with the
like a battle of
autos.
San Diego.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Sarah got
Nice single leg,
nice
just like
single
her
leg
dad.
pickup there,
right to the back. Are we going to see a suplex? Just like Kennedy Blades?
Bring the match immediately.
Hey, hip in in.
Taking the inside to the outside.
Amplitude.
Yeah, taking that inside off the body lock, inside to outside is such
Her
a powerful
opponent's doing some weird head and arm
combination.
thing, but
well done. Now
Sarah's
she's got that
chest to
near side
chest,
underhook. Let's see if
double
she
underhooks, I
stays with
believe.
that.
Yeah,
Drives her
she
head
is her
up to that far
father's
shoulder.
daughter.
And let's see if she uses the right arm or elects to let go and get a head and arm.
You know, Sarah Galvao mentioned, you know, she's still trying to figure out what her no-gi game is. But from
Crush.
the looks of it,
She looks like she's doing pretty good.
She's got a great takedown.
She's doing pretty well.
You know, it's a little
I want to see
system
her
there
versus
that she
Gabrielle
implemented
and some of the other black belt girls. You know,
transitioning from technique to technique.
she got to do
in the
absolute.
stand-up
I hope
battle,
once she gets her
taking
black belt, she's
Katie
doing
down
absolute.
immediately. Now in a really dominant position here.
But she shouldn't be fighting
Yeah,
this
she's
old
got a
girls.
head-on
She
half
should be
guard
fighting
pass,
some of the
could lead
younger
to
girls.
Better. That was
She gets the
actually a
guard
very
pass.
good decision for her to go to the cross.
You know, there's some really good tough black belt
Still
girls
has
that I think
potential Katagatami, but otherwise
they might be
she could walk
saving her
around
for
here
now.
all the
Build
way
her
to the
confidence,
Kimura
but
on
man,
this
she should
far
be
arm,
out
but
there
She switches the arm positions.
fighting.
Now she's going to
You know,
elect to
belly.
mount.
It's
Slide
not
the
even
knee through,
competitive
walk the
match,
forearm
really.
up.
Just paycheck.
Now
Get
there's a
that.
gift
Get that.
wrap
Who's
here
number one
coming,
money?
So we got this gift wrap side position. Full mount.
Nice. Chair sit. Back.
Here
Rear
comes
triangle,
the triangle.
probably.
Back triangle arm lock is coming.
Dang.
You
There it
see
is.
Andre Galvao in the corner of his daughter, Sarah Galvao.
She got this.
Sarah trying to attack.
Basically, no way for her
That
to lose
topside
this.
triangle, but
Yeah,
Katie
this
kind of
is-
locked a leg there. So
It's okay as long as she pulls the elbow up, keeps her leg in a
Triangle.
good position. There, Katie turns.
Yeah, that is basically
almost
over,
out of
guys.
it. That's the way out. I mean, that's if
Not
she
much
can
else
get
to
to her
say.
fours, that will
You don't need much commentary
significantly
from me.
reduce the triangle. But now Galvao is going to switch to the arm.
Sarah Galvao now.
Front triangle
Should,
now.
yeah. Let's see what she how
So
she
going
finishes.
from back triangle to front triangle, still has that threat of the arm or Kimura. Now to the back triangle, but she's a little too square.
Yeah, she looked like her
Side
dad too.
on is where she's going to finish that triangle. Now she's got to switch to the Kimura. She might be out here. Katie, Kimura grip is going to keep her sticky, but
Don't
she's,
come at me, Andre. I'm
she's
sorry.
losing the position little by little here.
Nice.
Oh, now it's back on.
She attacking that arm.
She lost the Kimura
think she
grip,
just
but
slowed down a
almost
little
kinda
bit.
Twisted that arm out now. Sarah
She's on the
attacking
leg.
Look at that reverse
kind of an
triangle
aggressive
and
girl.
knee-bar attempt there by Sarah
She got
Galvao. Probably
aggressive.
the first time we've seen that here.
Well,
She over here about to break
this
the
is
leg.
the only way you can
Some
finish
weird
this
move.
triangle, actually, is to dominate the
All
leg.
right, go ahead and tap
when
out,
you're
homegirl.
square, like Katie's not in a
ahead, tap
bad
out,
position
homegirl.
here. I mean, it's not
She
good
over here about
position,
to break
but
this
from-
girl arm and her
Looks
leg.
scarier than it is,
Choke her
I
out
think,
at the
right?
same
Sarah has
time.
to hug this leg if she's going to finish the triangle because
All right,
she's too
Katie, tap
square.
out, Katie.
She's not quite sideways, so to hug that gets rid of that slack.
Jesus, all
If she
right.
can get more sideways, pull the arm up to the ear of Katie, she can still finish this triangle. She's going on the leg now.
Oh,
And
she didn't finish
Katie
that?
Card gets the escape now, attacking the leg.
Oh, Katie
of
said
Sarah
Katie got some
Galvao.
tricks.
Yeah, she's got to push
All
the
right, Katie
legs down,
fighting.
going for a counter
Can't see
foot
what's
lock.
going on.
I'd like for Sarah to keep that weight on that left leg. There, Katie scoops the leg, so she's going to try
And I
to keep
guess
the weight
Sarah's
off the
still
leg.
figuring out her guard, her no-gi game.
Yeah, Sarah's doing a great job keeping her left knee free. Could take the back if she dives to her hip.
Yeah, I heard Andre and Galvao in the corner saying, roll to the back, roll
She
to
got
the
a lot of
back.
potential, though,
It
Sarah.
looks like
She's
that
doing
door
pretty well.
was just not open anymore. Decided to get to her knees. Now looks like she could be attacking.
She should have finished, though. I'm going to be honest.
An arm
She
there,
should have
flattens
finished
Katie out.
earlier. But Katie's tough. You know, I got to give her props. She out there fighting for the old folks.
Yeah, so she gets out of all of the harm's way.
Nice.
There.
Watch the back take.
She's going to step over and take the
Otto's
back. Yeah,
number-
Katie's got to be
Otto's,
careful.
lesson
hugging
number one
that
right
leg.
there.
She's got
Take
a
the
back
back.
take. Essentially pulled Galvao onto her back when she stepped over.
Sarah Galvao, obviously daughter of Andre Galvao.
Very similar age
representing
as
Atos
Kennedy. I
Jiu-Jitsu.
believe
Katie
Kennedy
Carr,
might be
Alliance San
19,
Diego,
20, 21 maybe.
Team Johnny Faria.
So these young girls are coming, bro. They're out here. Pause on that one. Pause on that
Later on
comment.
today.
They're out here getting good and
Opening
beating
match
up
of the main
people.
Card. Looks like Sarah's going for a Katsugatami. Now trying to get that arm
It's
in.
the side Katagatami
Yep.
here, the Rotolo team,
Rotolo
right? But
team,
it's just
right?
a side Katagatami.
Sometimes you just got to hold on, bro.
And
When
she's
you
got
getting
a
beat
nice
up like
little
this, you
angle
got to hold on.
to finish. This
It
is
looks a little tight, though. I
when the
can't
shoulders
tell.
line up with the chest. Now Katie did basically what the only thing she could do is to flatten out, which gives you full katagatame, but Galvao's shoulder's a little high, so it looks like she's going to go on the arm here in a minute.
Yeah, I feel like she's
All right, Sarah's had several times to finish this match.
Arm or triangle, so she's a little high for katagatame.
Complete
her shoulder
complete
is
the submission.
Up on the forehead.
Get the head and arm.
She still has
might be kind of hard to finish on
the
ladies.
Things that she could do here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to finish sometimes.
Just go back down to the mount.
Got some secret Atos move.
She's going for triangle arm.
Triangle maybe.
Steps over right for the triangle.
Yeah. She's got a lot of techniques, you know. She obviously been training with her father since
there
birth.
It is.
Yeah, fully locked mounted triangle.
Mounted triangle attacking the arm now.
Can also be hard to finish triangles on the ladies.
Just, doing a great job of resisting and just, you know, she's been through a lot of these situations before. Katie, as I said,
kind of wiggle around. See how she's turning in that triangle? She's still turning.
Wants to show what she can do
so
here
I feel like the arm bar
has it locked now, creating an angle with that triangle.
Get the side
she could
triangle
go get the
now.
forearm. Now she's going to go American lock, which is what you want to do here if it's that shallow. There it is.
All right, nice. Great match. Great job, Sarah.
Sarah Galvao wins by.
Great job. Let's take a little breather. You know, got to get some Reddit. You guys love your Reddit. So this guy says, can I start a gym as a blue belt? And I instantly think of the Gracie University, CTC. It was like this program they had to have blue belts open up their own schools. And they were only supposed to teach self-defense, but they would open up next to other jiu-jitsu schools. But it says, long story short, I don't want to start a gym, but I don't think I have a choice. I live in a remote area. We have a BJJ gym about 40-minute drive from here. It's a small gym, about 15, and the next closest is about 2.5 hours. Wow. The coach owner is a black belt. We have a brown belt, a couple purples, and a couple of blues. The rest are pretty solid white belts, as in they've been training for 2 years. We don't do stripes and haven't had a grading in 2 years. Wow. Also, I've been a blue belt for 2 years and was a white belt for like 7 because I moved around for work. The coach has bailed on us, won't reply to any of the students. It's been 4 months and we have no gym. None of the higher belts want to be involved with running a gym. They just want somewhere they can turn up, pay, roll, and go home, which is fair enough. I like that too, but at the moment, we have nowhere. So I was thinking of approaching the coach and asking if we can take on the lease and try to make it work. The gym just needs to pay for itself. I don't care about profit at all. I just want somewhere to train and not lose heaps of money in the process. So it sounds like he wants to do a club. You know, in other countries, they do clubs. I'm not sure exactly where he's based out of. So you just have a shared space, usually a gymnasium, basketball court. You guys know Iron Horse. We used to be back in we started off in a basketball court rec center. Could be in a church or YMCA. So you don't necessarily need to have a school. Just run it as a club. Maybe just get it under someone's name or your name. Everybody pitches in some money. Heck, you could do a garage. Just do it at your own house. Let's see what the comments say. If you have nowhere to train, 100% go for it. You might just need it. Think about how you would teach. Maybe just do self-teaching. Maybe I don't know what he means by that. With class guidance for colored belts and only teach white belts. Pause on that one. You could just guide the warm-up, basic drills, and get people ready for self-experiment. So I feel like this guy's going to do some ecological. What do you think, Nelson? You know, my boy Nelson out in PA, Allentown, he loves that ecological. There must be some new internet theorem where every thread eventually devolves into politics. I miss the good old days where all you had was Rule 34. I don't know Rule 34. Could invest in a cheap projector and Bluetooth speaker and do drills and tutorials off YouTube or Grapple Art. You know, some places they don't have access to instructors, so they got YouTube University. You know, AOJ has their own programs. I think Lucas Lepre has his own programs. I don't know about Mavericks, the new team with Espen and John Thomas. Submeta with Lackland and other programs, you know. The guy bails, ignores everyone's messages, and you want to take on his lease. I wouldn't take over anything of his. Start fresh on your own. Yes, sounds pretty good. I assume you already know where you train, so send out texts. You know everyone you train with, so send out texts, Facebook messages, whatever, and talk about getting together. Maybe use a school gym or YMCA to start and build from there. He said the guy probably bailed on his lease too. Contact the property owner and buy the mats off him. So the guy says you don't have to take over his business and lease. Find out if any other members have space for some mats. Yeah, talk to people first, guys. I know it's hard being social and train there. Find out if he wants to sell his mats and of the guys, if any of the guys want to pool funds to buy them, unless you actually want to deal with the business side. But there's a decent chance you don't know what you're getting into. Yeah, bills, taxes, lease negotiations, insurance, membership billing. If it was me, I'd ensure we all have a place to train and see how it goes. You can always scale up into an actual lease space. Regardless, you should find a black belt that is willing to come do seminars regularly and do promotions for you. Maybe the one that's a few hours away. I agree too. Opening a gym is something about business. There is all about business. There are too many aspects that one has to deal with, and it will eliminate your passion to train. If you just want to train, just establish a training group, so you will minimize your requirements on locations to say just a place that you can put the mats on the floor, maybe a member's home or your home. Yeah, I mean, so reading the headline, I was like, oh, another blue belt wants to have a school, but it seems like he just didn't have a choice, which does happen. Not every place has a ton of schools and black belts everywhere. Sometimes all you got is a blue belt and YouTube and university. So use those resources as best you can. And then we got another YouTube video. We got BJJ black belts feel like fake McDojo after switching gyms. We got with Jiu-Jitsu, one of your guys' favorite content creators, and I'm doing a reaction. So please, Jiu-Jitsu, don't hit me with a copyright strike.
Question from Bob, who says he feels like he's a McDojo black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So in case you're new here, a Bob question means that the person is either named Bob, which is pretty rare, and most of the time it's for a person who wants to remain anonymous. And as I'm going to explain in this message, you're going to know why it needs to be anonymous. So Bob sends me a message. He says that he feels like a McDojo black belt, and what happened at his previous gym just killed his desire for training. So he says that at his previous gym, he trained for about 7 years, and it's a very popular chain of gyms. I'm not going to name the name because I have friends that are in that gym association, that affiliation, and they're very good, but he may have trained at one that was bad. Anytime you have like a lot of numbers, big numbers, a lot of times you're going to have good ones and bad ones. But he said he trained at this gym, and he got to a black belt in 7 years, and he said this place is like the McDonald's of jiu-jitsu, where you're being...
Dang, yeah, that sucks. So that term we use is McDojo, so it's based off McDonald's. So, they give you your black belt like they give you a hamburger. A billion sold, a billion black belts given out. So, man, I mean, the 7 years, usually 7 years is like you're a phenom, you're pretty good, you're out there, hey, murking people with your skills, your jiu-jitsu skills. But if you're a regular Joe Schmo, twice a week dude, and you get your black belt in 7 years, I hate to tell you, but it's a McDojo.
Promoted based on pure attendance, which is pretty McDojo, right? Just pure attendance, not off skill and everything else. So anyway, he has a falling out with this instructor over something, and he goes to another gym in his area, and this other gym is a good gym. It's a top level gym where guys are producing high level competitors who are competing at the top stage of the world, right? And so he goes to this new gym, and he says instantly, he's like, oh snaps, I'm not a black belt. I don't belong here with this black belt on. He says in his mind, he feels like he's at best low tier purple, right? And so he's like, oh, I don't belong in this gym. And this starts to just suck the desire out of training for him, because he used to be a guy that was training.
So this is my issue. This is my issue with some of the schools where it's all self-defense and they don't roll and they never compete. And then, man, they're not good. I don't know what else to say. They're not good. And then they go somewhere else, and this guy got his black belt. He's like, okay, I'm a black belt. Goes over here, and he's like, dang, I'm a purple belt. If that, that's embarrassing. So, some schools have higher requirements because they want you to be able to go anywhere any school, anywhere, any country, any place, and represent that belt well. And that, I'm sure I don't have that feeling, but I'm sure it feels terrible for the guy to experience this. He kind of is almost cheated out of a lot of experience that he probably should have gotten. That 7 years, he would have been a purple belt, probably purple, maybe brown belt, and then his self-esteem wouldn't be rock bottomed like it is now. And there's still some old school gyms out there, but those old school gyms don't tend to do well on the business side. So the schools that do well are the schools that are run like a McDojo. They're giving belts, they're giving stripes, no rolling, self-defense, mostly. And, those guys are pretty bad, but they don't know it until they go to a real gym.
5 days a week at his old gym, and he loved it. Now he's barely making 1 or 2 days a week, and if he does train, he's training at the no-gi days because he doesn't want to wear the damn belt. That belt has become so much pressure because he knows if he steps on the mats in the gym, they're going to look at him and have an expectation of what he should be able to do, but he's not going to be able to live up to that expectation at this gym. Also, by the way, I'm just letting you know, he's 43 years old, and he said it's being hard. It's really, this has been going on for over a year now, and it's really hard to get back on that horse and get back to training like he used to with the same motivation. So he sends me the message, and here's what he asks. He says, how would you handle this in this situation? Let's be honest. If you had a black belt walk into your gym, join your gym, and it's obvious they're not up to the level, would you think less of them? No one wants to feel that way, and that's how I feel. At any rate, I hope you read the message and maybe one day address it. Please keep my name confidential. We will do that. And Bob, thank you for the question. So, brother, let's jump into how to handle the situation. And more importantly, your first question was, how would I think of you, right? So would I think any less of you? When I was a young guy and I was insecure, possibly, probably, I would walk in. This happened a couple times where we'd have guys come in and, you just instantly knew they were not up to the same level of effectiveness that your gym was sort of used to. And yeah, you kind of judge them a little bit. Oh, who gave this guy a black belt? Jesus, this guy sucks. We start criticizing in our minds this guy, right? Now, no, I wouldn't think less of you. I would think you're just a product of your environment, the training that you went through. Also, you didn't give yourself a black belt, did you? Someone gave it to you.
Yo, how you train that long and you like, I think I suck. you didn't have that didn't cross your mind. I'm actually not that good. Like, I don't know. Yo, I think I'm actually not that great. He thought, that whole 7 years, he's like, man, I'm amazing. I think I could beat, Lucas Lepre. I think I could beat Gordon Ryan. He probably was hyped up and thought he was like way better than he actually was. I don't know. I'm putting words in his mouth.
You're a product of the place that you came from. That's the way that I would look at it. And again, I've been on the receiving end of this because one, I gave up my purple belt. It's a long story. If you guys want to see the video of it, you can check it down below. It's a pretty interesting story. But I gave up my purple belt when I came to my gym that I'm at now, that I own, because the coach that was there basically said I wasn't up to snuff for the purple belts that he had in mind, right? So I was like, okay, well, here's my purple belt. You give it back to me. Also, too, when I went to train with my coach, Sean Hammonds, back in the day, who was, he was running a really good competitive program, I went down there and realized very quickly that I wasn't up to the level that, like, as a brown belt, I wasn't up to the level that he had set. And so I was like, I got to step my game up, right? And so this gives me a couple ideas for you. Number one is that when people come into my gym, and this has happened plenty of times now, where people come into my gym and they're not up to the same level that I would have set for that particular belt, I don't think less of them. I just think you're a product of your environment. Now you're in my environment. Let me build you up. Let me make you better. Let me show you how we do things. Does it make sense? Like my coach, Sean, when I went down there with a brown belt and I was struggling with like the purples and blues, he didn't go, man, you suck. He said, here, come here, Chew, let me show you something. Right? He helped me out.
Yo, he's like, hey, yo, you got to work on this stuff. Yeah. In those situations, I mean, hopefully they understand they got a lot to work on. If they rolling, you don't need to bring it up, especially with the gi. If they getting smoked by blue belts and white belts, and you're like, bro, you're a black belt. What's going on over there? Like, we don't need to say anything. The results speak for themselves. So usually we don't demote people. We just, hey man, you got to rebuild, bro. You got to rebuild.
That's kind of the mode that most of us as coaches do. And the gym that you're training at, I don't know them personally, but I know a few guys in there. I don't know everybody personally, but I know a few guys in there. And it's a good gym. And I imagine that they're probably of the mindset of like, hey, come here, bro. Bob, let me build you up. Let me make you better, right? Likewise, I've had students who've come in who have had the same kind of pressure that you have. And they literally came up and gave me their belt just like I did to my coach at one point, or to a coach. I don't want to call him my coach because I spent very little time with him, but gave it to him, spent some time with him a little bit. So they gave me the belt. Now, I did not encourage them to do that. I did not tell them to give me their belt, but they gave me their belt. And they said, you know what?
Nah, bro. I'll be like, give me that belt. Give me that belt back. I'll hold on to it till you're ready. Yo, I would take that belt. Give me that. Give me that belt. Wait a second, guys. I'm like, give me that belt back. You don't deserve it. No, I wouldn't do that. I don't think I would. I mean, I don't give belts out anyway. I never gave out belts. Me and John, we just never gave belts, bro. You know, you had to earn that belt.
Give me this belt when you think I'm ready for it, because I'm not up to snuff of the blue belts, the purple belts, the brown belts that are in this gym, and I don't want it. You give it to me when you think I'm ready. And so I did, right? And that's no big deal. And that took the pressure off them. And so a couple things to chew on here for you, Bob, is number one, I doubt anybody is thinking less of you. Also, just sort of a quick caveat that sort of kind of goes along with it. You're 43 years old. You're a hobbyist. You're in a gym full of young killers. And I know they got some older guys there too, but you've got some killers in that gym, bro. You're not hanging with those guys if they don't want you to. I mean, I know that we have this myth of jiu-jitsu with technique and all this da-da-da-da-da, yeah, but like youth and athleticism and all these things, and even the bandwidth, bro, because you're 43 years old, you got a career, you got a wife, you got kids, you got all these things in front of you. Your bandwidth is very limited with jiu-jitsu, opposed to a 23-year-old who has a youth on his side. He's been wrestling since he was in diapers. Now he's training, and then his whole life is surrounded by jiu-jitsu. His 100% focus goes to jiu-jitsu. You're not hanging with that. No amount of technique is going to necessarily quell that. It's just the way it is. And again, we can argue about this, but at a certain point, youth, it's a damn amazing thing when you got it, and when you don't have it, you realize it, man, it sucks. So sometimes I'm rolling with some of my young guys, and I'm technically better than them. I'm stronger than them I'm physically stronger than them, but damn it, they got that youth on them, man. And they got that engine that just keeps going, and I start to get tired. I start to get worn out, and I'm just hanging on. And it is what it is. So again, don't judge yourself by the yardstick of like the 23-year-old hardcore competitors. Find other older masters level people, old people, right? And that's where you're trying to measure yourself, like versus like, okay? Now, going back to it, a couple ideas. Number one is that if you don't want this belt, bro, and it doesn't seem like you're that attached to it, to me, it literally looks like this thing has become an impediment to you training, just give the damn belt back to the head coach and say, man, you give me this when you think I'm ready. I mean, if you're really attached to it, then whatever. I mean, but it seems like it's a problem. Hand the coach the belt, say, I'm done with it, man. I don't want it. You give it to me when you think I'm ready. Take the pressure off, put on whatever belt color they want you to. Now you go into the gym and the pressure is off. You can now just go back into the rank and file instead of having to have everybody look at you like, oh, there's the black belt. Because again, anybody that goes to a gym, anytime you have a gym and there's a black belt on the mat, you have a certain thing that you think about them. Ooh, there's a certain respect that you give them, certain reverence, because you're like, they must be good. Take the pressure off.
Homeboy said they must be good. Yo, I don't know, man. I don't know. Hopefully, there should have been some red flags before the guy got his black belt in 7 years. I guess maybe he came from a traditional background or something, but that's pretty fast in jiu-jitsu, man. 7 years, it's hard to develop a good game in 7 years. You get your prodigies, you get people like Travis Stevens, judo Olympic silver medalists that can get their belt in 3 years or so. And some phenoms can get it in 4 years, and 7 years kind of quick,
Down a belt level or two, whatever they want you to do. And then the other thing is, again, just realize your own insecurity. A lot of times we're far more in our heads and we're more critical of ourselves than other people are. You could talk to your coach and even ask them the same questions you're asking me. Like, hey, man, do you think less of me? I came from this gym. I don't feel like I'm up to snuff. What do you want me to do? Right? Because I've had that before too. Guys literally come up to me and say, hey, Chewy, I'm not up to snuff of the purple belts in here. I remember this one conversation, purple belts in here. What do you want me to do? And obviously I told them just keep training. We'll round out the rough edges around your game, right? But maybe they have a different policy with it, you know. But again, talk to them in that sense. But also, you can always just take the belt off and give it to them. And I doubt many people are going to care one way or the other with it. So going back to it,
that belt.
That's my idea. That's what I've done with my students in the past, and what I've done in the past. And hopefully that gives you a couple of ideas to chew on, Bob. Appreciate your question and good luck with it. Do something, take care of it, and get your ass back on the mat, and stop messing around with this thing with like worrying about this black belt. All right. Again, the most important thing is that you're training jiu-jitsu, and that's what's important. The belts, you know, whatever. Anyway, that's it. Talk to you guys next time.
That was jiu-jitsu. You guys love them. Last video, I'm tired. We're just gonna do some business. I force you guys to learn business, and it's good for you.
Jiu-jitsu don't really think about, or if they do think about it, they don't realize how much goes into it, but that is the business side of jiu-jitsu. Today I am talking to an expert in that area, and whether or not you want to run a jiu-jitsu business, I do think it's important to understand what happens both on the mat and behind the scenes. I also think there are a lot of parallels between success in business and success in other aspects of your life, so let's not waste any more time. Let's dive into it. Today I am talking to the man behind Epic Roll, the jiu-jitsu apparel and gear company that I have been wearing and talking to you about for a long time. He's built the brand into a major player in the jiu-jitsu apparel space. You see guys like Eddie Bravo or Jeff Glover, Mason Fowler, Mike Beltran, Tom DeBlas, me, all wearing Epic Roll. He's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt under Tom DeBlas, so today we're talking to Matt Wahlstrom from Epic Roll. I wanted to hop on because I've been getting a couple DMs from people about like jiu-jitsu business and blah 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 blah, and it's like, that ain't me, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not the expert on that. And I was like, all right, I know an expert in business and jiu-jitsu, so like, let's fucking talk, dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, are you just like jet setting and traveling all over the world at all times now? Because like every time I go on Instagram, you're like, you're in a different part of the world hanging out with like celebrities and shit.
Yeah, dude, it's been actually a trip. And you know, I've tried to really like embrace it and enjoy it, because I've worked my ass off like solo on this for so long, you know, like 5 years. And so it just
5 years,
it was like I got to take
years.
a little bit of a breath, and I got to feel like, okay, we hit this little milestone, and we're just kind of getting started with all of this, and have just been fortunate to you know, have like, I think, the most incredible business partner I could have ever asked for, like legitimately, not, you know, just on a financial side, but just because of like, you know, who Zoe is and like his passion for this, and like I have so much of his attention towards this business to grow it together that it's you know, kind of mind-boggling, to be honest. So you know, we'll just have these moments, like some of it'll be impromptu, like Austin, we were just talking and we're like, oh, you know, he had this idea to do this rock star beatdown thing where we go and trains with like the best people in the world, and then breaks down the technique and all this and that. So at the same time, I was talking to Dan Manasau about some sponsorship stuff and doing some custom gear for him.
Your video.
And then it was just like, oh, well, we should go out to Austin and see some of the guys and see Tim Kennedy and all these. And we have just this, you know, kind of same group of people and that we were kind of running in. And so like, all right, let's go meet in Austin. Let's go to, you know, LA. Let's do this. Let's do that. And so I was like, cool, man, let's go, you know, let's do it.
Yeah, why not? Let's fucking go. Let's do it.
Right?
So just to back up for a second, for people who may not know or have listened to our previous conversations, who are you talking about for business partner that you work with?
Yeah, so I'm talking about Zoltan Bathory, who is the founding member of Five Finger Death Punch, the amazing rock band that is currently touring with Metallica.
And you guys have been working together.
All right, that's a huge business partner. That ain't no random dude. Oh, wow.
What time did he just come on?
No, so we met years ago it's very strange how it all worked out, but we have a mutual business partner. So he co-owns another company with this gentleman that I co-own another company with. And so,
yo, what are these secret organizations, these secret companies, these secret, what is that called? You got the, in the Bahamas, paper companies. What are they doing? Yo, what are you guys selling over there, man? Actually, I don't want to know.
I was introduced to Zoe like maybe 3 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And I remember we went to one of his shows up in Philadelphia
companies.
or Pennsylvania somewhere. And this was pre-COVID. This was right before COVID. And we went up and we were like side stage, and he brought us up on the stage at one point, and we like, hung out with him, and hung out afterwards. It was just, it was super cool. And I remember leaving there with my wife and going and I looked at her and I was like, man, Sultan is so cool. I was like, wouldn't that be cool if he was like my partner for Epic Roll? And she's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we're just kind of like said it jokingly, and man, we put that out into the universe, and then that was a wrap. You know what I mean? Years later, he reached out and was like, hey man, I'm genuinely impressed with what you've built with this brand, and I keep meeting people that know you and people that really like you and are really supportive of what you're doing and the brand. And he's like, I'm impressed with that, and I think that potentially with some additional resources, this could be a huge jiu-jitsu brand in the community. And so the idea of partnering up on it came up, and it wasn't just a straight cash for equity type of a situation. I really needed somebody who could come in with more resources and and like some of those intangible things that the intangibles that like you just, it could be network, it could be people he knows, all these different things. Also, a lot of people don't know, but he has a 30-year like marketing degree. He's been doing design and marketing for the band, for all of their merchandise, for all of their album covers. He had a clothing business that actually is still in existence today, but he's really been in that space for so long. So outside of just being an amazing like rock star and judo and jiu-jitsu black belt and all these other things, he also had this side of the business where he could come in and for me, looking to grow this exponentially and really trying to take it seriously and expand it, it was really important to position myself with the right people, you know what I mean, and surround myself with the right people. And this just really made sense. And so we really kind of had like a little bit of a plan to, improve the website, do A, B, and C, get inventory, get things in stock before we really made any kind of public announcements about it. Just so that when we do kind of open the floodgates, we're kind of prepared. So it's very exciting to see. Again, it's really him, myself, and then his wife, Heather Gracie, who is also, a partner. So the three of us would be, considered like the owners and management of the brand now. And everybody kind of bringing their own special skill sets to the table to really make this something incredible. So we're really just getting started and just at the cusp of all of this, and have already, I think, started to make a real impact. And for me, it's just super exciting to see because it's, several visits. So Epic Roll came as a sub idea to this notion. I had found out about drop shipping around the time that I started. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. You can, not hold inventory, have these online stores, sell products to people. I'm seeing guys that are selling coat hangers, making $12 million a month. I'm like, hey, this is great. You know what I mean? Let me go after this. This sounds great. And there was a couple people in that always said, hey, well, make sure you're passionate about it anyway. Like whatever you're selling, whatever you're doing, so that conveys to the customer so you can really get. And I'm thinking like, how passionate is that guy selling coat hangers for $12 million?
I mean, you never know. Really? Some people get really into really weird hobbies. Like, you never know.
Well, let's be honest. If I'm making that much money from selling coat hangers,
you develop a passion at $12 million.
That's all I am, the coat hanger guy. So yeah, and so I had. I did all this research, and I had all like pages of documents. I could make a 10-minute dissertation of why I thought that selling women's fitness clothing was going to be the key to my drop shipping success. It was like, I'll do this, I'll set this up. Well, it'll be like a Lululemon online type of a thing. And I set everything up, and it was just crickets. It was just nothing. It was like literally nothing. And I'm thinking, I know these things take time, but it just wasn't, there was something there that wasn't clicking. And it was around that same time that I kind of left the gym with one of my training partners, and just was like in my head going, oh man, that was epic. That was an epic roll. Like that was, that kind of just, I said that to myself. And I was like, huh. It's like maybe I could use that and make like jujitsu videos and maybe just make some t-shirts. And I'm an artistic guy. I grew up drawing and using Photoshop and doing designs and corporate branding and logos and all this. So I was like, you know what, maybe I could just come up with something, since this women's clothing thing isn't working out too well for me. I'll look at transitioning.
Very
I'll make some
competitive,
t-shirts. People like jujitsu, and there really wasn't, in my opinion, too many companies that it was like totally saturated, right? It wasn't like a business where you're like, oh, there's already 1,000 people and companies doing this. So I was like, all right, and really, again, because of the nature of drop shipping, it's not costing me money to hold inventory. I get to sit online, design these shirts, put them up there. If you buy them, great. If you don't, great. And as I put that out there, and as the brand, which was initially just like the logo, it was, I kind of had the intention of making ranked gear, because I saw that there seemed to be a little bit of a deficiency in that. Like, everybody had cool designs, but it didn't seem like there were many, as much ranked gear. So I want to kind of focus on that a little bit. So, I had the basic logo with the different belt colors on them, and people liked them. And, first you start selling to friends and a couple people here and there. And then it kind of evolved to, I was asked, hey, do you make rash guards? Do you make gis? Do you make these? Like, typically that's the nature of businesses. If you have a product that people enjoy, they want to buy more products from you that they enjoy, right? So that was kind of like a natural evolution. And I really took it because it wasn't anything that was providing anything for me financially. I didn't really have to stress about it too much. I kind of just went out with the notion of saying, I think this is a cool brand. I like what it represents. And, my intention is to grow this community and just connect with people, and just, very like low key. And so I just kind of made it my mission to go out and just meet people, go on Instagram, meet people, kind of like how we got connected. I mean, that's was a very common story for me, is like, just connect with these amazing people that you can, that, without social media, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do. And so that basis of just non-confrontational networking and building relationships, paid huge dividends over the years of people that really supported Epic.
Yeah, that just relationship building, I think it's something a lot of people neglect. Social media wise, or if you guys own academies or brands, you should be networking all the time. Try to network with the right people. Sometimes you might be networking with the wrong people. Maybe they have all the money and influence in the world, but, maybe they're bringing other elements. So try to surround yourself with people that, you want to be like, and that you wouldn't be ashamed to be associated with. Some people you associate with, and you're like, man, dang, I messed up. So just, you got to be careful, guys.
And its growth. And so that kind of, just continued to expand and expand. And I went from having a couple things in like one room to filling up half of my basement, to now in this 1,200 square foot, HQ that we have now, because frankly, I couldn't hold the inventory in my house anymore, or else my wife was going to divorce me. It wasn't an option. So here we are, and it's been amazing. We've sold jiu-jitsu gear in all 50 states, and I think 17 countries now. Just sent some stuff to Norway. So shout out to Norway.
Shout out to Norway. I have a question for you that I think you probably won't be able to answer, but do you think, like, a lot of companies have come and gone, right? There's been a lot of jiu-jitsu brands that have come and gone. You've stayed. Do you think that networking and that social media and that outreach that you've done has maybe been like an extra intangible that other companies haven't done? Like, can you put a finger on why you've lasted when others haven't?
I can speculate. I want to believe, and again, without trying to sound biased, there's a lot of brands that have a really definitive feel one way or another, whether it's aggressive or it's more male dominant or female dominant. And so Epic Roll in general, one of the like main things that a lot of people have said to me is like, dude, I can't believe you have that name. Like, I can't believe that, first of all, nobody took that name, that just wasn't there before, because it just, the word epic is synonymous with everything great in life. It's used so much, right? So much in video titles and thumbnail titles. People say it all the time. So it's entrenched almost in our, in our vernacular and how we communicate and the things that we use to describe. It's not like in the rad category yet, where it's either ironic or you're actually a nerd. Like it's like still one of those words. And so it goes, and it's very like middle of the road. So I think it was very well received from females and males.
Epic Roll
So I always thought, what makes me different, right? Like a lot of people make rash guards, make keys. I think you have to have a solid product, because your like mercy purchases and your bro purchases that are just trying to be a homie and buy stuff, that can only take you so far. Like, you have to have a legitimate product in order to really sustain a long-term business and grow it. So I think that I was fortunate to have some really good fitting gear, and coupled with some designs that really resonated with people. I've spent all these years, handwriting thank you notes to everybody that I send packages to. And I can't tell you how many messages I'll get like weekly from people that are like, hey, you have a customer for life just because of that. Like, I love the rash guard, but because you sent me that handwritten letter and took the time to do that, like, that made a difference with people. And one of the biggest challenges I have now with like expanding is that it's no longer sending out 2 or 3 packages, a week. It's like, I was here till almost midnight the other day packing 34 orders from, 2 days. And so it's getting to a point where I don't want to lose that customer service and that customer connection, but it's also super time consuming. And when I go, all right, well, how does this expand? If I'm doing 300 products, or sales a day, what am I going to sit and literally spend 20 hours, handwriting? Like, it's not going to happen. So
gotta hire people.
It's now I'm at this sort of paradigm shift where I'm having to really think through the growth, what our brand represents, who we are in the community, especially having like celebrities involved in this now. It's a lot more, right? There's a lot more than just sitting and casually designing and throwing stuff out there. There's a lot to think about with regards to that. So yeah, I think it was a combination of the networking with people, continuing to put out designs, because without something like drop shipping, again, let's say I make a t-shirt and now I have to hold inventory on that, right? So now I have 6 sizes and I have 4 different color variations. Okay, there's all my money in one t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like, so there was like a sort of a perfect storm of ingredients that I think played into allowing it to continue and move on. And I spend a lot of time now reflecting on that, and then again looking into the future and saying, where do we want to go with this? And really the vision, the overall big part of the vision, is not just to be a jiu-jitsu gi and rash guard company, because there will be other cool brands, there will be other cool names, there will be other cool people doing them, and all of that, right? Like I'm under, I know that that's not, you can't nobody just stays at the top like all the time, right? Like, everybody's gunning for position, and there's plenty of room for more brands out there. So for me, it's about transcending products and moving into the community a little bit more. Like, we want to develop an app where we have sort of, it's like your one-stop shop for jiu-jitsu, where you can go and you can find, links to all the IBJJF tournaments, and you can have preset workouts for competing from like Spotify, and diet and nutrition, all things that center around jiu-jitsu, that can offer more value to people, above and beyond just this, we make cool clothes. So that's kind of the overall goal, is to get to that point. And we've started to really make a lot of different people's gear now. Like, that's been a thing. We've become more of a manufacturer for other brands, not even just, and we have our own stuff obviously, but that's been a huge part and a business part of our business model that has really grown and been, worked out very well for us, that wasn't anticipated, because Epic Roll is branded on all of this. So every school that I get Now I'm at a point where if they know Epic Roll, they like the association. So it's like for me, and as just growing a brand, sure, I make your school's rash guards, and then guess what? Epic Rolls on the shoulder, and I give you a great price on making them, so you can sell them to your students, right? So everybody makes money, and for me, it's just brand recognition, and that just every week I get more and more schools and people, influencers, athletes that want to make their own gear. So we've really started to move into that, which has been really fun as well.
Do you sort of feel that pressure though of like, what's the next stage, and then the stage after that, and the stage after that, like? How far out are you planning, because you don't want to be just in one spot? You want to know what's coming next. Are you like, all right, we're going to do this in 1 year, and then in 5 years this, and then in 10, and then 50? Or are you basically taking the opportunities as they come and adjusting in that way?
Yeah, I don't think that you can map out. Like if I look back at all the different, my businesses, my different career paths, and you can have an overall goal. Like I have this this one umbrella goal that's like, this is what I want my life to look like, right? This is how I want to wake up every day. This is the time and freedom I want to have, the financial freedom I want to have. So I have those things, but I don't have an exact roadmap of how to get there. And so if I look at a situation like this partnership with Zoltan and Heather, I'm like, boy, I don't think I could have ever written that out and orchestrated, the steps that led me to there. I think it's a big part of getting up every day and just doing the work that's right in front of you. You do have to have some foresight, and you do have to have some planning, because again, what is our goal, like to grow into? But I'm we're still a very small company. There's still a lot of room for growth. But one of the other advantages of the partners that I have is their involvement in other businesses and having the resources to sort of guide those decisions and help 10x the company and help grow strategically, so that you don't, oversaturate with employees or whatever it is, business expenses, and not be able to, grow properly. So we have a responsibility to do that in the best way that we can, so that we can have longevity in the brand. But it's certainly nothing that I try to trick myself into believing that I'll strategically have exactly the roadmap. You know what I mean? I just let the universe kind of guide and set up those serendipitous moments and relationships and open those certain doors, because I feel very in tune with what I'm doing and very intentional with the work that we're doing. So I'm just kind of like, in my mind, it's like, hey, hustle every day, just get up, keep working towards these things. And I've seen over the past 5 years where that's led. So for me, I'm just kind of sticking with that same philosophy until I'm told anything different.
Right. If it's working, stick with that philosophy, right? We're going to finish talking to Matt in just a minute, just a quick break. If you like this channel,
click. Gotta skip that sponsor, bro. Check
now,
out BJJ
what
Mental
would
Models.
you say?
Check out my sponsors, BJJ Mental Models and Inverted Gear. Okay, back to it.
Someone who maybe they're in the position where they have the idea or the thought, or that they want to make the leap into being an entrepreneur, but they don't have the resources, or they don't have the funds to start, or they don't know where to begin. What would you say to yourself 5, 6, 7 years ago in that position where you have this idea for this brand, you don't know how to make it work? This is what I'm going to do now. Go.
Yeah. So I think as an entrepreneur, if you're going to go down that path, you have to be very prepared to handle failure. Like, people talk about that a lot, about the journey and about failure. And it's very true, because it's just that I don't know any really successful people who didn't all experience some level of failure and just, some issues of bankruptcy or this and that in the pursuit of their goal and their dreams. And the problem that I see most often is that people start to, A, they don't believe that they're worthy of what they want. B, they don't even have pinpoint exactly what they want, and C, they're not disciplined enough to do the work over and over and over again, regardless of failure, to keep going. Like, I have everything that I've tried to achieve, every business, I have 2 patents on an invention on a fitness bottle that we're launching later this year. And that that project has taken 14 years of my life pushing forward and starting with an idea and then getting it patented and finding resources for attorneys and money and paying patent fees and trying to get engineers and tooling and all of these things that I had no idea. I had none of these resources, none of them. And the only thing that I did was I just had this belief that I was going to make this happen. Like, I don't know how, but I'm gonna make it happen.
Guys, believe.
And so many times I could have quit. And so many times, people said, "Oh, that's cute. You invented something," or "Oh, you have, whatever." It doesn't matter. It's like when you're focused and when you have a deep rooted belief in what you're going to achieve. I just firmly believe that if you get up and take small steps, no matter how long it takes, you'll get there. The universe will open up those paths and those opportunities for sure, 100%. But we don't like to accept those truths. It sounds, woo-woo and hocus pocus, and people are like, "Oh, and I got bills," and I do too. I get it, 100%. You know what I mean? That's why most people don't do it, and that's why people that try it are not successful, because it's not easy. It's not easy at all, And so you really have to be, I think, committed, and I think there's also, a fair amount of just like critical thinking and logic that has to be involved. Like, you can't have 6 kids, a mortgage, all these issues and be like, "You know what? I'm moving to Nashville. I'm going to start singing career." You know what I mean? Like, there's probably a more subtle way to transition into things like that. But we are arguably in, the most opportunistic time of history. So we have all these crazy resources, like what you and I are doing right now, never possible in the past, right? Like, there are endless resources to teach people how to do what they've done. Like, guaranteed, whatever it is that you want to do, somebody's already done it, and somebody's already done it really well. And you can go and emulate them. You can read books, you can go to seminars, you can get mentors, all these different things. So until you've fully exhausted all of your resources and, ready to quit, then I would just encourage people to get hyper focused on what it is that their ultimate goal is and what they're really looking to achieve, and make sure that it's not just chasing dollars, right? Because that's a really easy thing to do, especially because finances are the majority of people's biggest issues, right? Everybody's got bills and everybody's stressing about money. And so it can be very hard to detach that reality and then entertain this idea that you're going to go off and accomplish all this stuff and live this life that you never thought you could and have all this money that you never thought you could. That's a tough sell, right? So if you don't believe that in your heart, you can say it, you could tell your friends, you could say it to yourself, but unless you really accept that and you really believe that in your heart, I don't think you'll ever do the work to actually get there, because you're going to be faced with tons of oppositions and obstacles along the way, and that's just part of it. But I look at what I'm trying to do is not only build these brands, but I want to inspire entrepreneurs to go out and do this same stuff. And I want to do it through my stories and my failures and all of these struggles that I went through, because I'm just some guy that's no one special, that was just sitting in this small town of Warrenton, Virginia, around nobody. And look at the opportunities now that I have in front of me. And I'm like, wow, this is powerful. This is inspiring for people, to hear. So a big part of it is feeling this, like, I feel this responsibility at this point to achieve a certain level of success, because without that, you're never going to be given the forum, to really express that to people and really inspire. Like, you have to reach a certain level if you're going to get people's attention and go, "Oh, I want to listen to what you have to say." So that process is always in the back of my mind, is, really jotting down these stories and all these things that are happening to me, because I find them as, just like I found inspiration in other people's struggles and journeys, and reading books and hearing all of that. That's what kind of led me to believe, okay, this is possible. These people that are billionaires, they didn't even finish high school. They didn't go to college. They didn't do this. What did they do? They hustled. What did they do? They believed. You know what I mean? Like, those were the fundamental ingredients that you needed for success. And so that's what I've applied. That's what I would recommend, people apply and just have that mindset as they approach this. It's not for everybody. That's for sure.
I feel like 99% of what you just said also applies to jiu-jitsu. And that makes me happy because in the intro that I recorded before I hopped on with you, I talked about how I feel like there's a lot of parallels between jiu-jitsu and business, just like there's parallels for jiu-jitsu and the rest of your life. And that mindset of like the just keep showing up mindset, the mindset of as a white belt, you're going to get beat up for like a year and you're going to lose and all of that's going to happen. Do you think being good at jiu-jitsu made you better at business and vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some parallels there for sure. I think in that getting comfortable being uncomfortable notion, that, I mean, for sure, because you have to dedicate so much time to. I think that's why getting my black belt meant so much to me, because it took so damn long, like it took so long, and everybody's journey is different. But I look back and I'm like, man, all of that, brought me to this point and made me who I am. And it's the people that I've met, the experiences I've had, the connections. I mean, it's invaluable. You know what I mean? Like, I sound like such a jiu-jitsu fanboy, but it's really true.
I mean, this is what this show is.
Like, so if we're ever going to nerd out on jiu-jitsu, exactly, if we're going to nerd out, this is the forum to do it. But for real, it really is. It's life. It's not even just business. It's like jiu-jitsu, helps you deal with life. I think getting out, I'll speak just for guys, because I'm sure there's some similarities with females, but for guys, I think there's added pressure and stress that we might feel as guys, whether it's leaders of our household or being financially responsible for people, or, dealing with certain things in society. And so when you come to jiu-jitsu, you can just let it go. You know what I mean? You can let that aggression go. You can be around people, and you can, really let that, I think that energy that people get out in jiu-jitsu transcends into their life a lot more than they think, because as well as I do, that take jiu-jitsu away from me for like 2 weeks, from a sickness or whatever, you're miserable. My wife is like, hey,
it's the worst.
Go to jiu-jitsu. Like, you're being a dick. Like, you know what I mean? Go.
Sound like cousin Tony.
Right. And I'm like, am I?
Over there.
It's like my PMSing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh man, I haven't been there. Today was actually my first day back at Open Mat since before I got back from Vegas, because the day before I was about to leave, I did Open Mat, and like an idiot at 43 years old, I'm rolling for an hour and 45 minutes straight, just killing them, right? And that last roll, I like arched and moved, and I felt it in my back, and I was like, here we go.
It's always that last one. It's always that
I'm
last
walking
roll.
out, like this, and I saw my chiropractor once before I left, but the whole time, like, we're at UFCX, and I'm like, with Robin, like sitting down, like, oh my God, dude, I'm like trying to take medication, and so I had to take like literally almost 2 weeks off, and I was back in there today. I was like, oh my God, I just feel like normal again. You know what I mean? It's just, so yeah, I definitely think there are parallels and lessons to be learned. And I think what stands out most to me is that notion of getting comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Losing a lot, getting smashed, not being able to breathe, suffocating, all these things. And then you're like, oh, so when that's happening in business or life, like, I feel like in a weird sense, I've already been, right? Like, in a weird sense, I've already been in that really uncomfortable position, that dude's sweating into my mouth and just his, like, I've been there. So this doesn't seem so bad, right? It's context, it's perspective. It provides perspective that I think without that level of maybe combativeness or interaction with a human, you might otherwise not feel.
Absolutely. So before I wrap it up and go back to work, is there anything that we didn't talk?
I'm gonna wrap that up. Yeah, some good business talk. A little bit longer than I thought. It was actually 36 minutes. I thought it was like 3 or 4 minutes. But yeah, we gotta cover business, even when I'm kind of got to bear through it. I want you guys to bear through it with me. So again, thanks for watching. Check out my sponsors, BJJ Mental Models, Inverted Gear, whatever my code is, usually just my name, Alec, ALEC. And if you guys got any recommendations or videos you want me to check out, I can't find everything. I just kind of see what's going on. Just put it in the comments, and then, I can search that way. You can actually copy and paste the link in the videos that you guys want me to watch. So until next time, peace.